Hello, I'm Becky. Welcome to my brand new channel, Books and Beads. So happy to have you here. I thought I would start a Booktube channel. I am over on Book Talk and I'm having a lot of fun over on Book Talk, talking about books, making beaded bookmarks for every book I'm reading, cosplaying, and just sharing all the bookish fun things. And I realized that I like to talk. I'm loving talking about books over there and I talk a lot. I can't shut up. So I thought I would start a YouTube channel so I can talk about books even more with all of my book besties. So make sure to follow along, subscribe, leave a comment where you're watching from, what you want to read next, what you want to see me read. I'm really excited to start this. So in researching starting my channel, I came across the Booktube Newbie Tag, and I thought that was an excellent place to start. So we will start there and answer some of the questions that go along with this tag. Why did I start this channel? I kind of talked about it in the beginning, but I started this channel to talk more about books with all of you, all of my book friends. Great place to talk about book reviews. I want to share bookish travel. I love to travel and I am going a couple different places this year, and you can always find a good bookstore no matter where you go. So I want to talk about my bookish travels. I want to make myself a reading room this year so I can kind of go through that process with you guys. I am doing some fun bookish events. I've got some bookish cosplays coming up. I'm going to a very exciting Starfall ball. I've been invited by the event organizers to cosplay as Feyre, so that's something else I can talk about and document here. Just all the bookish things we're gonna get into and be excited about together. What are some fun and unique things I can bring to YouTube? So when I was getting into this, I've wanted to start a YouTube channel for a long time. I wanted to get more into social media this year, and my full-time gig is making jewelry for a jewelry making company, a kind of a DIY craft company. I am a jewelry designer for that company, but I wanted to make my social medias something a little different, a little more me. And then I came up with this project to make beaded bookmarks for every book that I read in 2024, and that led me to Book Talk and all of the fun over there. So I'm making it a little bit unique. I'm combining my love of crafting and beading with my love of reading. So beading and reading, books and beads, that's what we've got here. Again, like I said, bookish travel. I love traveling. So I wanted to combine my love of books with that. I'm not just talking about books, I'm talking about hobbies that can also like inform your love of books, or books that can inform your love of hobbies. Like, we are, as people, multifaceted. We have different interests. It's not just books. There are things that bring us to books, like travel, like hobbies, like our interests as kids growing up. So I'm just kind of combining this wonderful booktube world with things outside of that niche in a creative way, I hope. What am I most excited for this channel? I think the community aspect. It has been so fun over on Book Talk, just interacting with people, making new friends, sharing opinions. That's the best part, is the community aspect of talking about books and sharing book reviews. So I'm really excited to expand on that and make even more book friends. What do I love reading? The genres I love reading are romantasy, fantasy, historical fiction. I do love historical fictions, but I'm kind of particular on those. Like, I like Tudor wives historical fiction, like 1500s, 1600s, 1700s. I'm not a huge like World War II historical fiction person. However, the book Atonement by Ian McEwan does take place during World War II, and it is one of my favorite books, so I guess there's an exception to every rule. But I'll read a little bit of anything. I like to switch up genres sometimes. I think that can help with reading slumps. So thrillers are really fun sometimes. If you just want a book you can't put down, if you want a mystery, those can be fun too. I'll read anything. What book series got me into reading? So I have it on my shelf. I have one of the books from the series that got me into reading. Let me get it. So I have always loved the Royal Diaries series, specifically this one about Cleopatra, because of course I had a huge ancient Egypt phase when I was growing up. I was obsessed with all things ancient Egypt. So this one was my favorite, and I mean, it does have the pretty gold edges, so maybe that's why I can't resist pretty book edges now. Other series I loved, The Unicorn Chronicles by Bruce Colville. I thought the Animorphs were really cool. Like, I wanted to be an Animorph growing up. I thought that was just like, there was nothing cooler than turning into an animal in your spare time. So those were really great. I've always loved reading. I always read at a young age and continued to read. I kind of stopped reading after college. I hit kind of a burnout or a slump, and it took me a long time to get back into reading. What challenges will starting a booktube be the hardest to overcome? I think this right here, getting started and getting my channel up and running, is going to be the hardest part. So if you're seeing this, I think I've overcome the hardest hurdle for me, because I've had a lot of ideas for YouTube channels in the past and just never really acted on them. But this one I think feels right. It feels good. It feels exciting. So this is exciting to me, and this is one of the biggest challenges because I get in my head. Sometimes I overthink things a little too much. So starting it is going to be a big challenge for me. Other challenges, I think, editing is quite the process, and you have to stay consistent. So I have to make sure to stay consistent. So that might be a challenge depending on what's going on in life. But I do make content for my full-time job, so I'm used to a lot of the tasks that you have to do for something like this. So I think that will help me a lot. When did I start reading? I touched on this when I talked about what series got me into reading, but I started reading at a young age. I've always been, in school, they were like, you're an advanced reader, typical, gifted child. So lots of reading as a kid. And I continued to read. I read through college, kind of stopped in college, and then what brought me back into reading as an adult was the ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas. I read that series, then I read Throne of Glass, then I read Crescent City, and then I just kept reading all the books because why not? We love reading. So yeah, so always been a reader. Where do I read? I read anywhere and everywhere except the car, because that makes me so motion sick. I wish I could read in the car, but sadly I cannot. But mostly these days I read on my walking pad. I made a goal this year to get more steps in, get more movement in. So I bought a walking pad and I will read while doing that for at least 30 minutes, usually an hour. That's a good way that I've been reading more. And I'll read on my couch. I like to read before bed instead of scrolling my phone because it just helps with my anxiety, and I think I sleep better when I do that, unless I stay up all night because I have to finish the book, but that happens. Better than just endlessly scrolling, I think. Yeah, so I'll read before bed. I read on my walking pad. I'll read on my couch too instead of watching TV. I've really been doing that a lot lately. Instead of watching TV, I've been reading more. I have a really nice, lovely swinging chair out on my patio. That's a good place to read in the summer. Maybe not all the time because I live in the Pacific Northwest and it can get rainy and cold, but yeah, that swinging chair is really nice. Read everywhere. I prefer to read in a lounge chair on a tropical beach. That's always nice, but when I can't, I'll be reading in different places around my house. What does my book collection look like? I've got a nice little corner shelf back here in my living room. That's where all my books are. But I did mention I want to make a reading room, and our upstairs is converted attic space. So they have really cool slanted ceilings. I was thinking of doing some wall shelves up there for a nice wall shelf library, and putting some twinkle fairy lights on the shelves. And there's a nice big window in the room I want to do this in with lots of natural natural lights would be a good place to film content as well. So that is my plan for expanding my book collection, because this shelf is very full. I've got a TBR cart full and I keep like adding to my book collection, so I will need more space eventually. I'm already getting to that point because my books are kind of carefully placed and stacked on the shelf. So definitely wanting to expand my reading collection spaces. What kind of books do I like to read? I kind of already answered that with the what do I love to read, but we could talk about like tropes I like too. I like enemies to lovers. I think that's a fun trope. Forced proximity is always interesting. There's just all kinds of things that I like to read. I really like a good like plot twist or reveal at the end, something you don't see coming. Those are always appreciated. I love when I'm like gasping out loud in a book. Which is why I love Atonement, because there's a good one in that one. I thought I'd talk a little bit more too about like why books and beads. So I do work for a jewelry making company, and when I was in college, it was one of my goals to be published, work in the publishing world in some way, write a book maybe. And I kind of combined those two things this year in a really cool way. I worked with a publisher to make a boho bracelets kit that is sold in bookstores. So you can find this at Half Price Books and Indigo Books in Canada. You can look it up online to see if there's one near you that has this in stock. Half Price Books, you can't look it up online, so it's kind of a bit of a hunt. But I thought that was so cool. I am unbelievably proud of this. I still can't believe it's real. I can say that I am published and my work is sold in bookstores. This kit comes with the supplies that you need to make the jewelry that I designed, and I wrote the little book that goes with it, explaining how to make the jewelry, explaining the beads, explaining the style. So this is a dream come true, and I think books and beads is inevitable because I've already combined those two things here. So why not keep doing that with my YouTube channel, with my book talk? So yeah, I'm a girl who loves books. I love Taylor Swift. I'm a huge Swiftie. Disney, I really like going to the theme parks, Disneyland, Disney World. I went to Tokyo Disney last year and that was amazing. That's me and that's my channel. So stick around, we're gonna have a lot of fun. Expect to see book reviews, some cozy little crafting. I am a grandma at heart. Cosplay too. I love dressing up. I love pretty dresses and costumes, and usually those tie in well with bookish themes. We're gonna have a lot of fun here. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to leave a comment too. Say hi. I want to know who's watching. Let me know what you're reading right now, what you want to read, what you want to see from me. So yeah, thanks guys.